As the city lights flickered on, Yunseo received yet another call from her mother, the familiar question echoing through the phone. "Are you coming home this weekend?" Yunseo hesitated, glancing at the city outside her office window. "I'm not sure. Work has been busy," she replied, hoping to avoid her mother's nagging. But her mother didn't give up, quickly turning the conversation toward marriage. "You're an adult now. When will you finally settle down? Think about your family." "Mom, I'm not interested in an arranged marriage." But her mother pushed harder, listing complaints and pressuring her to go on a matchmaking date. Yunseo cut the call short, sighing in relief as she put her phone down. The word arranged marriage stuck with her, fueling her resolve. She remembered her mother's prediction. "You'll be back home crying within a year." But years had passed since she started at ZBS, living alone and working hard, determined to prove her mother wrong. At least at work, no one pressured her about marriage. Her office was the one place she could escape. Yang Soo-chan, the ever-cheerful chief producer, popped up behind her, asking what she was doing. Yunseo replied that she was researching interview candidates, but Soo-chan teased her for still doing junior-level tasks after all this time. She wanted to shout that it was only because he kept assigning her grunt work, but outwardly she forced a laugh. Suddenly, Soo-chan offered her a chance. "PD. Oh, should be running her own show by now. Do you think you can do it?" Yunseo's eyes widened in surprise. Was he really offering her a shot? She didn't hesitate. "Yes, I can do it," her voice brimming with determination. He handed her a file. "You'll be in charge of the next episode of Human Inside by yourself." It was a show that interviewed famous figures and was the highlight of the station's weekly magazine. For Yunseo, this was the opportunity she'd been waiting for. Her heart pounded as Soo-chan warned her, "Here's your interviewee. If you mess up, you're back to being an assistant producer." Gritting her teeth, Yunseo promised to do her best. She glanced nervously at the file. "Is this just a candidate?" But Soo-chan shook his head. "No, it's already confirmed. Start reaching out. And remember, the final responsibility is on you. If they refuse, you're not ready yet." With that, he left, and Yunseo stared. At the file, overwhelmed, she flipped it open. Her first solo assignment was a big one: Choi Kwan-hoo, the owner of Rayon Phoenix. The chapter shifted to the sleek glass tower of Rayon, a young IT company famous for the hit game Exit, and ranked among the best places to work for developers thanks to its unique benefits. But Rayon was making bigger waves by buying the struggling Phoenix baseball team, sending shockwaves through the business world. The assignment felt even heavier as Yunseo realized how much was riding on this one interview. At Rayon's headquarters, Choi Kwan-hoo's assistant delivered the request from ZBS. "We've received an interview request." Kwan-hoo barely looked up. "I already said I don't do interviews." He was the kind of CEO who valued privacy and rarely appeared in the media. But when his assistant mentioned that your in-law's daughter worked at the station, there was a flicker of interest. Kwan-hoo remained cool, asking if the call was direct. Hearing it was just the writer, he insisted, "If PDO calls me herself, I still won't answer unless it's to my personal phone." The assistant wondered aloud why he was being so stubborn, but Kwan-hoo only smirked. "They're the ones who avoided me first." Clearly, there was a complicated history. Meanwhile, Yunseo steeled herself and headed to Rayon's building in person, determined to land her first big interview, even though she knew Kwan-hoo had already refused by phone. She introduced herself at the desk, asking to be connected to the CEO. The staff was surprised, but soon, the secretary, Baek-si-ha, appeared, perfectly composed. After a brief and awkward exchange, Yunseo learned the CEO wasn't in the office, but was likely at Lucas, a wine bar owned by Rayon. She made her way to the bar, half wondering if Kwan-hoo was the kind of CEO who wasted his days drinking. The place was empty except for staff, and she introduced herself again, explaining that his secretary had told her Kwan-hoo was there. "He's inside," came the reply. On the way to his private room, Yunseo asked if the CEO often came here. "Yes, he has a room he always uses," the staff said. She wondered just how often he escaped to this private space. Inside, Choi Kwan-hoo was calmly reviewing documents, his coffee untouched. Hearing he had a visitor, he looked up, surprised. To see Yoon-seo in person. "In-law," he greeted her, his tone playful. The nickname caught Yoon-seo off guard, making her tense up. "Stop," she said quietly. Kwan-hoo's smile faded. "Stop calling me in-law." For a moment, the air was tense and awkward, and Yoon-seo wondered if she'd said the wrong thing. But Kwan-hoo only leaned back and teased her further, suggesting that if he called her by name, she might get attached. Yoon-seo, flustered, quickly denied it, but before she could finish, he addressed her directly, "Yoon-seo." Yoon-seo let out a nervous laugh, clutching her bag. "Don't worry, that will never happen." But Kwan-hoo's calm voice cut through. "Yoon-seo." Her name sounded so natural from his lips that she froze, tension thick in the air. Kwan-hoo quickly regained his cool, leaning back. "Let's just stay in-laws." Yoon-seo forced a smile. "It's not like we're getting divorced." But she knew things weren't so simple. Leaving the room, Yoon-seo's thoughts raced. She'd promised herself not to care, but her sister's divorce was changing everything. Memories of the wedding of the century, the union of Taekang, and Haishin flashed through her mind. Now, rumors of divorce threatened to make their split just as legendary. Back at the Haishin estate, tension reigned. The family patriarch slammed his fist in anger. "Those Taekang bastards!" Soo-jung's mother, trembling, pleaded with her daughter to reconsider divorce, but Soo-jung, calm and resolute, stood her ground. "I'm taking this to court." At dinner, Yoon-seo sat stiffly, the meal more like an interrogation. Soo-jung spoke up, her voice gentle. "Don't go through an arranged marriage like I did. Marry for love." Their mother bristled, but Soo-jung insisted. Anything was better than both daughters ending up divorced from arranged marriages. Yoon-seo was shocked by her sister's newfound strength. Divorce wasn't just a private matter anymore. It was shaking their entire world. While the family unraveled, Yoon-seo's own crisis grew. Her father cut ties with Taekang, her mother hid from society, and Soo-jung became reclusive, tainted by scandal. Meanwhile, Yoon-seo dreaded facing her in-law, Choi Kwan-hoo. No matter how far he'd distanced himself from his family to start Raon, he was still Taekang's second son. Contacting him felt like betrayal, but she needed that interview to save her job, and possibly her future. Desperate, Yoon-seo confronted Kwan-hoo, asking if the divorce affected him at all. "Not at all," he replied, cold and detached. No, matter what she said, he wouldn't budge. Swallowing her pride, she pleaded, for the sake of a peaceful farewell between families, would he grant the interview? He just laughed. "Your brother gets divorced and now I have to do an interview? What nonsense is that?" Yoon-seo tried to lighten the mood. "If you want an interview, you have to smile first." She promised to make him look like a hero in the broadcast, but he shot her a sharp look. "You've really learned to talk like a media person." Flustered, she asked, "What should I do then?" He leaned in, playful but slightly menacing. "So, you'll do anything?" No matter how she answered, he twisted her words, clearly enjoying her discomfort. Finally, Kwan-hoo smiled slyly. "I'll think about it. I'll contact you again. That's enough for today." Defeated, Yoon-seo left, his teasing words echoing after her. For 3 days she waited, frustration mounting at his silence. Slumped over her desk, she muttered, "No contact." She regretted trusting someone so unpredictable. Determined, she messaged him directly. Across town, Kwan-hoo read her message and smirked, enjoying the back and forth. He remembered, the last time they'd really spoken was 15 years ago. Despite knowing each other for years, they were practically strangers. Kwan-hoo claimed not to care about the interview. Baseball was all that mattered. He hated publicity unless it was about his team. But Eun-seo challenged him, "Face me. If I win, you do the interview." She knew her best chance was in a PC cafe, where her keyboard skills would give her the edge. If he refused, she could always tease him online. His reply, "All right, See you in 3 days. Yoon spent the next days secretly practicing. When the day arrived, she entered the PC cafe in a hoodie, ready for battle. Kwan-hoo, in a sharp suit, stood out like a celebrity. He grinned. You're already here? The contrast between them was comical. She asked if he could take off his jacket. He teased her, but complied. Had to impress investors, he joked. Yoon rolled her eyes. You always say things that could be misunderstood. Trying to stay focused, she suggested they eat. First, she hadn't had dinner yet. Kwan-hoo looked at her and smirked. Eating together, isn't that basically a date? Their playful rivalry was just beginning. Yoon stared at Kwan-hoo, baffled by his logic. You're saying everyone eating here is on a date, even those guys over there? She waved a hand at the room, frustration showing. Kwan-hoo just smirked, unbothered. They're just eating. But you and I... Before he could finish, Yoon glared. I'm not eating with you. She spun away, pulling up her computer to pretend he wasn't there. But her stomach rumbled, reminding her she hadn't eaten all day. Still, she couldn't bring herself to give in. He teased her about the cafe's food, casually offering to order her something. They have chicken mayo bowls. Want one? She shook her head, keeping up her stubborn act. No, just eat by yourself. He shrugged and leaned back, clearly amused. All right, let's start the game then. Determined not to lose, Yoon steeled herself. It won't take long with you, she muttered. He only grinned. Don't make excuses when you lose. As the game started, it quickly became clear she was no match for him. He racked up 16 runs in no time, while she could only stare at the scoreboard in disbelief. Shoulders slumped. She felt her confidence evaporate. Kwan-hoo reminded her, baseball isn't over until the bottom of the ninth. I know, she replied quietly, trying to hide her embarrassment. 2. Boys behind them marveled at the gap. Man, your boyfriend is ruthless, one laughed. Yoon forced a tired smile. He's not my boyfriend, she said. But they didn't buy it. She tried again. We're in-laws. Blank stares. What's that supposed to mean? She sighed, wondering why she was even explaining this to strangers. Kwan-hoo jumped in, his voice a little too casual. Technically, that's someone you could marry. Yoon shot him a horrified look. What is wrong with this guy? Walking out? Of the cafe, her mind was spinning. The chance for her interview felt like it had slipped through her fingers, lost in misunderstandings and Kwan-hoo's teasing. He caught up, flashing a sly smile. I paid for the game, by the way. Thanks, she replied awkwardly, still thinking about how she'd explain all this at work. He studied her, then asked, So, you're just going to leave? She hesitated, caught off guard. He pressed further. Wasn't the interview important to you? Annoyed, she snapped. Do you enjoy this, in-law? Is messing with me really that much fun for you? He only shrugged. I just say what's true. She clenched her fists. You might not care about this divorce, but it's a huge deal for me. Please, just be more careful with what you say. Kwan-hoo's expression softened slightly. There's no harm in being careful, I guess, he admitted. Yoon tried to read him, but gave up. Whatever. I'll be going now. As she turned away, he called out, Wait, want to play something fairer? She stopped, surprised by the sudden offer. You're serious? He nodded, a rare hint of sincerity in his voice. The baseball game wasn't fair for you. Pick. Any game. A bit of hope flickered in her chest. Give me a second. He checked his watch. You have 1 minute. Panic set in as she tried to think of a game she could actually win. Why is he suddenly being nice? He used to be so different. Finally, inspiration struck. Let's play the liar game. He raised an eyebrow. Liar game? She explained, We can only lie. Whoever tells the truth first loses. The opposite of truth or dare. He laughed. So, broadcast people practice lying with games now? She ignored his jab, pressing on. So, are we doing it? Fine, you go first. Yoon-seo leaned in, her tone mischievous. You're ugly. He hesitated, caught off guard, then tossed his hair like he believed it. The sun is freezing. Cold. The tension faded as the lies grew more absurd. Yoon-seo teased about his secretary, wishing them a happy marriage. Kwon-hoo responded, I'll send you the wedding invite. Bring a big cash gift. She pointed. If I send you a gift, that means you're telling the truth. He dodged her grab for his phone, still in character. If I say it's a wedding gift, it is. All right, he said, playfully strict. One more minute. Your turn to lie. The game carried on, their banter turning competitive and lighthearted. For a moment, all the stress faded, replaced by laughter and that strange sense of understanding that only comes from being perfectly mismatched. As the evening air turned cool, Kwon-hoo's teasing dropped away. He looked at her more gently. Honestly, if you'd said just one word, I would have given you the interview. She tried to brush it off, but something in his eyes made her pause. Suddenly, memories flooded back. 15 years earlier, cherry blossoms falling, Kwon-hoo riding his bike as a student, and her younger self watching from afar, both of them full of quiet longing and missed chances. Snapping back to the present, Kwon-hoo stepped closer, voice soft. Say it. Please, senior. For a second, the lines between past and present blurred, and Yoon-seo found herself standing in the gentle glow of nostalgia. 15 years ago, under a sky scattered with cherry blossoms, 14-year-old Yoon-seo walked into school, already feeling the ache of hunger. Her mother's strict rules about weight meant she skipped breakfast, her cereal snatched away before she could even eat. Tired and irritable, she tried to push through her day, only to be shoved by Wang Ji-hyun, the school bully, who mocked her size for everyone to hear. Yoon-seo tried to ignore the teasing, but it stung. Lost in thought, she suddenly heard someone yell a warning. Before she could react, a baseball came flying at her. Everything went dark. The next thing she knew, she was waking up in a hospital bed, surrounded by worried faces. Choi Kwon-ho, the ace of the school baseball team, sat nearby, apologizing for hitting her with his pitch. He gently explained it was just a mild concussion, and she'd be fine. But before Yoon-seo could respond, her mother's voice echoed through the halls, frantic and angry. Realizing the situation, Yoon-seo urged Kwon-ho to leave before her mother arrived, but he stayed by her side, refusing to abandon her. Her mom burst in, demanding to know who was responsible. Kwon-ho immediately confessed, apologizing for his mistake, but Yoon-seo was left embarrassed and helpless, unable to stop the confrontation. That night, still hungry and frustrated, Yoon-seo snuck out to a chicken restaurant, bringing all her saved money so her mother couldn't take it from her. She sat alone, finally enjoying a hot meal. The shop owner was surprised to see her again, especially when she paid with her entire pouch of coins, but Yoon-seo was simply grateful to eat in peace. While eating, Yoon-seo explained to the owner that her mom always took her money, so she had to keep it safe if she wanted to buy snacks. As she clutched her coin pouch, her phone rang, startling her. Was it her mom? Instead, it was Kwon-ho checking up on her after the accident. Panicking, she handed the phone to the owner, who awkwardly told Kwon-ho he wasn't Yoon-seo's father. Relieved, Yoon-seo thought back to Kwon-ho's reputation. The school's brightest, fastest player, someone everyone admired. She never expected their lives would cross like this. After that incident, Kwon-ho started missing school more often, and eventually stopped coming altogether, leaving Yoon-seo with a mix of frustration and regret. She tried to distract herself, vowing to find an even better interviewee for her project, but the truth nagged at her. If she'd only won the liar game, she could have secured an interview with Kwon-ho. She just couldn't admit he might have been right about her fears. Her doubts kept her up at night, worried about disappointing her boss, and dreading the thought of being pushed into unwanted marriage meetings by her mother if things went wrong. Still, she refused to give in, determined to chase her own dreams instead of letting others decide for her. Sitting at her desk one day, Yoon-seo suddenly remembered something hidden in her wardrobe, a secret that could give her an advantage over Kwon-ho. Her thoughts drifted back to a summer night years ago when she found Kwon-ho sitting outside a restaurant. He greeted her warmly, But when she pressed him about missing school, he confessed he'd run away from home because his family never supported his dreams. Yoon Seo could see the pain behind his smile and decided to treat him to some fried chicken. They ate together. Yoon Seo asked how he was managing. Kwon Ho admitted he was working part-time and staying wherever he could, struggling but determined not to give up. He shared that baseball taught him nothing was decided until the very end. No matter how hopeless things looked, anything was possible if you kept going. Yoon Seo reflected that most people called that kind of hope a dream, but Kwon Ho was determined to chase his anyway. She quietly asked when he was planning to leave, not ready to say goodbye. Moved by his vulnerability, Yoon Seo offered Kwon Ho her entire savings, handing over her precious coin pouch. In that gesture, she gave him not just her money, but her heart, a silent love letter. But her first love ended quietly, leaving behind only a simple loan agreement and an unspoken promise. A clear blue sky stretches above the Leon building, sunlight flooding through sleek glass windows. Inside, the president's assistant arrives with a letter. "President, your in-law's young lady sent a letter." The president, wary, asks, "Why?" The assistant simply suggests he check it himself. As he takes the letter, memories flood back, painful, unresolved. He feels a bittersweet relief. At least she hasn't given up on the interview yet. A flashback lingers. "If only you'd said one word, I would have given you the interview." Her wounded face haunts him. She thinks, if you were going to end it with that expression, it would have been better to just curse at me. In the present, he finds a familiar chicken restaurant flyer inside the folder. "You still kept this?" he murmurs, surprised she held on to it all these years. The flyer is like Pandora's box, unlocking a wave of nostalgia and regret. Meanwhile, Yoon Seo can't shake her guilt. Are their old memories just chains holding them back? The scene shifts to the ZBS broadcasting station cafeteria. Most people lose their appetite under stress, but Yoon Seo is starving. She eyes her pork cutlet, telling herself she'll just exercise later. But as she picks up her fork, her phone buzzes. Choi Kwon Ho is calling. Her heart skips a beat, knowing it's about the promissory note. Uncertain, she hesitates before answering. She tries to sound casual as she answers. Kwon Ho bluntly asks where she is, catching her off guard. Annoyed by his abruptness, she thinks he must have forgotten all his manners. Trying to end the call, Yoon Seo says she's eating and asks to talk later. "You must be at a restaurant," he notes, and simply replies, "Okay." She's left confused, wondering what he's really after. Back at her table, Yoon Seo guesses he's calling about the note. There's no way he'd ignore something that important. Just then, she's startled. Kwon Ho himself walks into the cafeteria. She freezes, panicked. She thinks, "I need to run." But before she can escape, he finds her. Teasing, he tells her to finish her meal. Flustered, Yoon Seo insists she's done. He glances at her plate and jokes she'll turn into dried radish strips at this rate. She fires back, calling him mean as ever, and he grins, saying she curses so politely. Her thoughts are interrupted by the arrival of PD Yang and his crew. Panic. If PD Yang sees her with Kwon Ho, rumors will start. "Let's get out of here," she urges, dragging Kwon Ho away. He teases her about having a secret lover, but she snaps back, shutting him down. Outside, the tension builds. "We're standing in the perfect spot to cause trouble," Yoon Seo warns. "You're really making me want to hit you." He just shrugs, reminding her she sent the note to his workplace first. Trying to lighten the mood, Yoon Seo forces a smile. "I didn't think you'd care, but you remembered." Kwon Ho grows serious. "There's no need to repay me 100 times. Yoon Seo won't give in. "Just give me an interview." In her mind, 2 million won multiplied by 100 equals a fortune, but for just one interview it seems fair. Still, she insists on repaying it fully. He shakes his head. An interview is enough. She pushes back. She wants to repay him with something more valuable. He laughs. "Then give the interview first, we'll talk about the rest. You can't split it like that." She calls after him, but he just smiles. Look forward to it, in-law, how I'll repay you 100 times over. As night falls, Kwan-ho sits at his desk, deep in thought. His assistant notices his restlessness and asks if something's on his mind. Kwan-ho muses, how exactly do I repay this so it truly feels like 100 times? The assistant says bluntly, if you borrowed money, repay it with money. Kwan-ho feigns offense. It doesn't suit his delicate nature. Maybe, he suggests, Kwan-ho could repay with something truly precious. Kwan-ho's eyes light up. Changing the subject, Kwan-ho asks for the list he requested. The assistant hands over a folder, names of people with bad blood against Chairman Choi, potential buyers for his shares. Kwan-ho weighs his next move. The narrative shifts to business headlines. Rayon, a small gaming company, has bought a struggling baseball team. The media makes it look glamorous, but behind the scenes, most directors were against it. Rayon was too small, but Choi Kwan-ho swayed the decision by personally promising to cover 30% of the costs. His dedication made all the difference. In the office, his advisor breaks the silence. Why not ask PD Oh Yoon-seo for help? Kwan-ho considers it. His advisor suggests a deal, give her the interview, and in return, ask her to persuade her sister. He adds that even a major league player is a fan of human inside, making the interview even more valuable. Kwan-ho is hesitant. Using Yoon-seo feels wrong. He remembers when she lent him money so he could go to America, a kindness he never forgot. Now everything is tangled and complicated. Flashback. 5 years ago, Kwan-ho returns to Korea for his brother's wedding after 10 years in the US. He feels frustrated and lost, resentful but dutiful. He knows it wasn't really his brother's fault he quit baseball, but he still needs someone to blame. Did I really fly 14 hours just for this? He wonders, feeling foolish and out of place. Turning to leave, he bumps into a woman in a pink dress who apologizes in a rush. Their hands meet, an impulsive touch, and the world seems to stop. He looks at her, stunned. You, he says, recognition dawning in his eyes. She stares back, cheeks flushed. You're Oh Yoon-seo, aren't you? The realization settles. Between them, surrounded by flowers and soft music, a fateful reunion, sparking something neither expected. The wedding hall glows with golden light as Kwan-ho finds himself unexpectedly face-to-face with Oh Yoon-seo, a woman he never thought he'd see again. For a moment, the world falls away. He recognizes her immediately, even as she tries to hide. Her reaction. There's tension and confusion. Both of them remember their past, but neither wants to be the first to admit it. Trying to break the awkwardness, Kwan-ho reminds Yoon-seo of their middle school days and the lucky pouch she once gave him. But just as things start to feel familiar again, his older brother Kang-hoo interrupts. Surrounded by bodyguards, Kang-hoo's presence is overpowering, and suddenly, the atmosphere shifts. Under the weight of family expectations, Yoon-seo quickly steps back, pulling away from the brief moment they shared. Kwan-ho is left standing alone, watching her disappear into the crowd, wondering why fate keeps drawing their paths together, only to pull them apart again. Elsewhere, Yoon-seo takes out her frustrations in the gym. She attacks the punching bag, taped with Kang-hoo's photo, her anger echoing through the room. Every punch is fueled by confusion and resentment, especially at Kwan-ho, whose intentions keep shifting. He said he'd pay her back with an interview, but now insists on money instead. She can't understand his stubbornness, and it drives her crazy. Just as she's cooling off, her phone rings. Kwan-ho is calling, catching her off guard early in the morning. The conversation is blunt. He asks if he should come to her or if she'll come out. Yoon-seo's irritation flares as she tells him to stay away, only for him to abruptly announce he'll do the interview and then immediately hang up. Shocked, Yoon-seo tries to call him back, but only gets his voicemail. She can't believe it. After all this time, is he finally agreeing? Why is he so impossible to reach? Determined, Yoon-seo rushes out, running through the city streets without caring how she looks. In her mind, she's convinced. Even if he drives her crazy, if he's really willing to give the interview, she'll chase him down. She sprints to her car, barely catching her breath as she calls his secretary and learns he's at the Ilsan IT Expo. She doesn't know exactly where he is, but she refuses to give up. Standing in the parking lot, she debates what to text him. Should she call him senior or brother-in-law? The indecision nearly paralyzes her until a friend appears, teasing her about her obsession with Kwan-hoo and lightening the mood for just a moment. When Yoon-seo finally finds him, their playful banter picks up right where it left off. Kwan-hoo teases her about not cursing at him fully, but Yoon-seo is too focused on what matters. She wants to know if he's truly going to do the interview. Kwan-hoo dodges the question, suggesting they eat together first, just the two of them. Their conversation shifts from awkward to lighthearted. He tries to order chicken, she refuses. He brings up pork cutlets, and their exchange is filled with jokes and playful stubbornness. For a brief moment, it feels like old times, like maybe they can find common ground again. Afterwards, in a quiet restaurant, Kwan-hoo suddenly brings up the topic of debt, mentioning an enormous sum of 200 million, which throws Yoon-seo off guard. She just wants to talk about the interview, but he insists on making the repayment more meaningful. He explains that giving her just money feels too impersonal. Instead, he wants her to accept something special. The only condition for the interview, he says, is that she agrees to it. Confused and a bit anxious, Yoon-seo watches as Kwan-hoo produces a small box. Her eyes widen as he opens it to reveal a sparkling ring, announcing that it's worth over 200 million. The moment is surreal. Yoon-seo's thoughts race. What kind of man gives a ring and immediately talks about its price? Kwan-hoo, meanwhile, silently reminds himself not to mention that the ring was passed down from his grandmother. Overwhelmed, Yoon-seo realizes that if she accepts the ring, it'll settle the debt, but it means so much more. Memories flash back of the times they sat at opposite ends of the table, acting like strangers despite being in-laws. But now, Kwan-hoo looks at her with sincerity, determined to be honest for the first time. He tells her that the ring will be the starting point for something new, a sign that their relationship is about to change. He hopes that, in time, they'll be able to reach each other. Silence hangs between them, charged with anticipation and uncertainty. Yoon-seo hesitates, caught between shock, disbelief, and the faint hope that things could truly change. After a moment, Yoon-seo quietly calls his name, the weight of everything unspoken hanging in the air as she finally prepares to give her answer. Word spreads fast at school. Yoon-seo's classmates are buzzing about what happened. Kwan-hoo Sr. carried you like a princess when you collapsed, they tease, making Yoon-seo blush. The girls giggle, calling him strong and princely. Flustered, Yoon-seo can't help but briefly picture Kwan-hoo as the prince in all their stories. Deep down, she admits that ever since he caught her after the baseball accident, she sometimes imagined moments like that, him confessing to her, just like a fairy tale. But 15 years later, reality feels nothing like a fantasy. Now, across a restaurant table, Kwan-hoo doesn't offer flowers, but a wedding ring. Yoon-seo is stunned. Is he really offering a wedding ring to his in-law while she's caught up in a divorce? She wonders, overwhelmed by the awkwardness of it all. Kwan-hoo simply closes the box and gives her a calm smile. Let me know when you've made up your mind. The moment is heavy with unspoken feelings. Yoon-seo stands up, holding back her frustration. Kwan-hoo, still unreadable, quietly tells her to enjoy her meal before leaving. She grabs her things and walks out, not looking back. Alone, Kwan-hoo stares at the ring box and quietly admits to himself, there's no point in running away anymore. He asks the chef to pack his food, hiding his disappointment. Days pass, and Yoon-seo lies face down on her bed, replaying everything. Damn you, Choi Kwan-hoo, she mutters. If she hadn't seen the ring, she wouldn't be thinking about her first love again. Now, with the interview depending on that ring, she can't shake the decision from her mind. Should she accept it for the interview or refuse and leave everything behind? Maybe she could just borrow it for now, then give it back. Unable to sleep, Yoon-seo finally decides to act. It's petty, but what else can I do? She sighs. She'll need to update Producer Yang on Monday. Gathering her courage, she texts, "Can we meet now?" Her phone buzzes almost immediately. Kwan-hoo replies, "Sure, come to Lucas." She barely has time to hesitate before rushing to get ready. Arriving at the bar, Yoon-seo is greeted by A man who says Kwan-hoo just finished playing golf and must be tired. She's surprised. Kwan-hoo was always a baseball guy, not a golfer. The man wishes her a good time, flustering Yoon-seo, who tries to clarify, it's not like that. Embarrassed, she realizes he was just being polite and apologizes. Suddenly, Kwan-hoo appears and startles her. She asks when he woke up, but he teases that she was loud enough to wake anyone. Flustered, she protests, but he just smirks and tells her to be more positive instead of always denying everything. Seated together, Kwan-hoo asks why she wanted to meet. Yoon-seo, visibly tense, finally says, I'll take the ring. The answer catches him off guard. Really? He asks, surprised. She nods and tells him to keep his promise and do the interview. Kwan-hoo grins and agrees. Suddenly, he stands and moves closer, taking out the ring box. Yoon-seo gets flustered again. Why are you opening the case? She asks. Kwan-hoo smiles. It's a ring. I should put it on your finger. She protests, insisting it's not that kind of ring, but he just shrugs and says, a ring is a ring. Gently, he asks for her hand. Yoon-seo hesitates, thinking, is he really going to keep this up? Finally, she gives in, and he slides the ring onto her finger. His expression grows serious. Even if your sister's marriage ends in divorce, once you take this ring off, whatever we have ends too. Yoon-seo is shocked. She pulls her hand back and looks at the ring, wondering, what makes it so special? If you take it off, that's goodbye forever, Kwan-hoo says quietly. She thinks to herself that their relationship was bound to end after the divorce anyway, but now she's unsure. Could everything really end just by removing a ring? She looks up, voice trembling. You're saying you'll never see me again? She asks. Kwan-hoo nods, answering calmly. Yeah, I'll act like I have amnesia and forget your name. The words sting. Frustrated, Yoon-seo fires back. Fine, me too. But before she can remove the ring, Kwan-hoo gently grabs her wrist, stopping her. I don't want you to take it off just because of your sister's divorce, he says. If Taegang and Haitian become enemies over it, what other reason could there be? Then softer, he tells her, take it off when you don't have feelings for me anymore. Yoon-seo's defenses finally crumble, and she looks at him, vulnerable. Why are you doing this to me? She asks quietly. Kwan-hoo meets her gaze, honest and unwavering. Because I want to keep seeing you. Kwan-hoo looked straight at Yoon-seo, voice low but sincere. I want to keep seeing you. Those simple words hit her like a tidal wave. Her heart skipped a beat. Was this his way of confessing? Not knowing how to respond, she grabbed her things in a fluster. I'm leaving, she stammered, desperate to escape before her emotions could betray her. But as she turned, her steps faltered. In an instant, Kwan-hoo caught her, pulling her into his arms. Careful, he said softly. She froze, cheeks burning, completely surrounded by his warmth. He didn't let go. Instead, with a teasing glint in his eye, he whispered, I'm holding you. What do you think's going to happen if you move? Like that? Yoon-seo's thoughts spiraled as he leaned in, smile playful. Running away mid-conversation? That's a bad habit. Trying to regain composure, she demanded. Then take back what you said. He raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Flustered, she shot back. Those weird words about wanting to see me. The tension between them lingered. Awkward, heavy, unspoken. But even with her right there, it felt like a wall stood between them. If only he hadn't gone to America. If he'd returned earlier, before the wedding, would things be different now? Could he have broken that wall? All he could say aloud was, sister-in-law. But Yoon-seo didn't back down. Eyes firm, she warned, don't mess with me, just because you agreed to the interview. I won't go easy on you. Kwan-hoo gave a faint smile as she turned away. Still, you're not giving up on the interview. Wait till I contact you. As the door closed, he was left with nothing but his thoughts. She'd spent her life avoiding conflict, always protecting others, even if it meant guarding her heart. But Kwan-hoo? He wondered if his feelings didn't matter, At least she still wore the ring, even if it started as part of an interview. Condition, even if there was no romance behind it. That ring had become their only link. No matter how she felt when she accepted it, he knew. Every time she looked at it, she'd think of him. He held on to hope. If he kept showing up, kept imprinting himself in her life, maybe one day her heart would follow. Yoon-seo, though, was already planning to end it. As soon as the interview was done, she'd return the ring. She wasn't that naive girl from before. When the pre-interview was scheduled, her nerves kicked in. It was the first time she'd see him since receiving the ring. But instead of Kwon-hoo, only his secretary arrived. CEO Choi is busy, but he'll personally review the questions, the man said politely, handing her an envelope. He wrote these himself, for your eyes only. Yoon-seo blinked. What was this? Some kind of secret message? She opened the envelope and read the first rule. Don't mention my handsome face. It's embarrassing. Her eye twitched. Was he seriously joking? The next line shifted the tone. Don't talk about my family. If you do, I'll bring up the divorce. We'll go down together. She winced. And then, the last line, don't mention I used to play baseball. He was avoiding everything real. But could she blame him? After ignoring him for 5 years, did she even have the right to dig deeper? She sighed. All right, we'll leave it out. The secretary nodded. Thank you. As he left, one of her co-workers leaned in. I wanted to see the second son of the Taikang group in person, but he's not as handsome as I thought. Yoon-seo smirked. He looked like a prince in photos. Then came the teasing. I wonder who his first love was. Producer, can't you ask him? Just pretend it's for work. No way. Yoon-seo recoiled. That night drained, she collapsed onto her desk. As if my sister's divorce wasn't enough. Now I have to think about Kwon-hoo, all because of this stupid ring. Just as she was about to unwind, her phone lit up. A video call from Choi Kwon-hoo. Eyes. Wide she stared. Just checking if you're still wearing the ring. She glanced down. There it was, still on her finger. Confirmed, he said with a small smirk. See you on filming day. But before he could hang up, she stopped him. Wait. He paused. What is it? She bit her lip. Almost whispering, she added, when this airs, you might get a call from someone you haven't seen in a long time. There was a pause. His tone suddenly heavier. Then came the question, one that left her stunned. Can you help me find my first love? Yoon-seo stared at her phone, hesitating. The message blinked back at her. Do you have a first love you want to find? Saying it aloud made her wince. No answer felt right. Choi Kwon-ho's response came through calmly. My first love. Her heart stuttered. But then, can you call it a first love if it never came true? She blinked, confused. Huh? Scoffing, she dropped onto the floor, chuckling dryly. Answering a question with a question? Typical. Still, a smirk crept in. So even his first love hadn't worked out. Guess I'm not the only one. Kwon-ho's voice echoed in her memory. Some people at least kissed. I didn't even get that far. She teased. Why were you so timid? He sighed. Sometimes fate just won't let you. She chuckled under her breath. His first love must have been something else. Then the real question came. So you don't have a first love? He answered, love is still love. When he flipped it on her, what about yours? Her breath caught. Memories she'd buried surged forward. Moments later, Choi Kwon-ho appeared in front of her, grinning. Oh, Producer Nim. Yoon-seo stiffened. What's he up to now? With an annoyingly smug smile, he pointed to his face. They said I needed makeup. Can you do it? Sparkles practically followed him, but Yoon-seo wasn't falling for the charm. Why makeup? She asked flatly. The announcer said I'd look better with it. He shrugged. Someone chimed in. Park Ha-na's good at that. But he was already pointing at Yoon-seo. It has to be you. Trying to keep composure, Yoon-seo turned to Jung-woo and whispered, "Can you stop being so stubborn in public? I get shy around strangers." He smirked. "Shy? You look ready to fight." She flinched. "Ugh, fine. Park Hana, lend me some makeup." "Are you actually going to do it?" Hana blinked. "It's just men's makeup. I've got this," Yoon-seo said casually, accepting the kit. She stepped toward Jungwoo, firm but calm. "Stay still." He smirked again. "I'm always still. You're the one who runs." Her jaw tightened. "I meant your mouth." Later, prepping him on set, she murmured, "Apply foundation." But when she looked up, she froze. Jungwoo gazed at her, warm and gentle. The room faded into soft light. Her heart raced. "Keep your eyes closed," she whispered. "No," he grinned. She slapped the sponge on his face. "You're doing this on purpose," he said. "It blends better this way." "Maybe you're just bad at it." "Then why ask me?" He leaned in closer. "Because I'm happy, being close to you." Her heart skipped. Why is he always like this? And why does it affect me so much? "Don't talk like a creep," she huffed, hitting him. "I'm already handsome," he teased. "Just keep it simple." As she moved to the lip balm, her nerves spiked. "I'll apply it now," she warned. He stared. "She's holding that like a weapon." "It's the last step. Hold still." "I have been still." "You're the one shaking," he muttered inside. Then it hit her. After 5 years of silence, he was suddenly back in her life, standing right in front of her, as if nothing had happened. "You ignored me all those years. And when I reached out, you panicked." Flashbacks pierced her. The debt. The return from the US. Back in the present, she held the brush, hand trembling. "Can you close your eyes?" she asked quietly. But he smiled. "I don't think I can." She narrowed her eyes. "Why not?" He looked straight at her, sincere. "Because if I do, I won't be able to see you." Her breath hitched. She stood frozen. And he just smiled. Later, as he finished up his makeup himself, Yoon-seo sat silently, gripping her popsicle like a shield. The set lit up. The shoot was about to begin. She was already exhausted. "Focus," she whispered. "Get it together. Let's start filming." The clapperboard snapped. "Hello, viewers," the announcer said. "Today's guest is Choi Kwan-ho, the youngest team owner in Korea." Kwan-ho greeted with poise, camera ready. A staff member nudged Yoon-seo. "He's so handsome. Even actors would be jealous." She muttered, "So what?" But then, she noticed something strange. The monitor showed her own reflection, and there it was. That ring, still on her finger. Her heart pounded. Meanwhile, the interview rolled on. "Have you always liked baseball?" the host asked. Yoon-seo sat frozen, thoughts spinning, while the cameras kept rolling. Yoon-seo sat silently behind her laptop, watching him with narrowed eyes. He started with a nonchalant, then leaned back with a confident smile. "There's hardly a man in Korea who doesn't like baseball," he said smoothly. But she wasn't convinced. "I'm just one of them," he added, trying to appear casual. Yet Yoon-seo sensed there was more beneath the surface, and when she gave him room to speak, the cracks began to show. He confessed he'd even gone to the US to try out as a player. His passion was real. Still, something didn't add up. If he loved it so much, why hide it? The interviewer pressed further. Liking baseball doesn't explain buying a team, especially not for someone from a young company like Lan. "Wasn't that a huge risk?" He replied flatly. "I didn't do it because we had money." When asked why, his answer came quietly. "If I hadn't bought it, Foxen would have disappeared." "So you've been a fan for a long time?" She smiled. He nodded, eyes closed. "Yes." "You must be happy then. Running the team you used to cheer for." But Yoon-seo frowned. Could someone who once played be satisfied just watching from the stands? Later that night, his phone lit up with a message. "Oh, Yoon SEO, thank you for today. Looking forward to tomorrow too. Before he could react, his assistant walked in. Aren't you going to reply? Won-hoo smirked. Nope. Gotta play hard to get. The assistant sighed. Why are you playing games with your in-laws? Won-hoo just smiled, clearly enjoying the growing connection. On the elevator, out of nowhere, he said, My parents are divorced. Beck blinked. Why bring that up? Divorce affects more people than you think, the CEO replied. You act like it's someone else's problem. It is. My brother is my brother. I'm me. But Beck wasn't buying it. It'll catch up to you. You won't be able to avoid it. The CEO paused, caught off guard. Are you cursing me right now? Beck stayed calm. Just looking out for you. As the elevator doors opened, Beck stepped out. Stick to reminiscing. Don't go further. The CEO called after him, annoyed. Why is the secretary leaving before the CEO? Night fell over the ZBS building. Back at her desk, Yoon-seo sat deep in thought, chin in hand. The interview went well, but something was missing. Her eyes lingered on the footage like it was a hopeful sports drama. But one question haunted her. Why did he quit baseball? Without that answer, it all felt hollow. Just a rich man playing with his money. She rested her head on her arms. I want to show what baseball truly means to him. Then, her phone buzzed. Choi Won-hoo was calling. Her heart skipped. She picked up. Did your pride get hurt because I ignored your text? He teased. She groaned internally. What is he even talking about? Later, Yoon-seo took a chance. She invited him out for drinks, off the record. Confident on the surface, but nervous inside. To her surprise, he agreed. Come to Lucas. She arrived at the upscale lounge, nerves bubbling under her calm exterior. She was greeted with elegance, escorted through sleek doors. Does he handle alcohol well? She asked hesitantly. Not particularly, came the reply. She smirked. Maybe I can get the truth out of him. Inside, Youngwoo waited at a lavish table. Come in-law, he teased. Yoon-seo sat with a nervous sigh, clutching a paper bag. She deliberately chose the far seat. Why are you sitting there? He asked. We can talk just fine from here. You're the one who suggested drinking, then. He stood up and sat down right next to her. Is this too close? He asked. She tensed. This is the perfect distance for drinking. He reached for a bottle. Good job today. It's my first time seeing you work as a producer. She blinked. Whiskey? I thought he didn't drink. Do you drink often? She asked. I'm the weakest in my family, he admitted. She smiled slyly. Then this might just work. As their glasses clinked, Yoon-seo kept it light. Let's keep it casual. First drink together. Time passed. The mood shifted. Yoon-seo slumped slightly, cheeks flushed. Why did you really buy a last-place team? She asked softly. He sipped. It looks cool. People love underdogs. That's not the reason. That's the plan. He smirked. You invited me here just to ask that? Drinking alone's boring, she replied. She brightened. Let's play a game. If you can't answer, you drink. No lying. He chuckled. I was going to say the same. Her first question. Is buying the team related to your time in the US? He paused. She reached for her glass. I'll just drink, but he grabbed it from her hand. You haven't drunk yet, so you have to answer. She slammed her hands down. If you don't, I'll drink everything. He leaned back, amused. She's drunk. Then, with a wistful gaze, he whispered, The reason I bought the team. He looked away, voice low. If you have the money, you can play owner all you want. The words hung in the air, bittersweet, honest, and full of something she still didn't fully understand.
Yoon-seo lay curled on the sofa, her breathing soft and peaceful until a finger poked her forehead. Wake up, came a familiar voice. She groaned, reluctant to leave her dream until the words, In-law, we have to go to the next interview. Snapped her awake. She sat up, startled and confused. Across from her, Kwon-hoo sat relaxed in a black turtleneck, wearing that infuriatingly calm smile. Did you sleep well? He asked. Rewind to just a few hours earlier, they sat together. At a restaurant, drinks on the table between them. Kwon-hoo's tone was casual. If you have money, you can own a team. It's that simple. But then his gaze grew distant. I didn't want to seem small in front of a junior who once cheered for my dream. Yoon-seo looked puzzled, clutching the bottle she had brought, unaware of the deeper truth. Behind his words, her curiosity couldn't hold back. Why didn't you become a baseball player? Were you injured? Kwon-hoo grinned. One question at a time, remember? Then smoothly, he shifted the spotlight. Your turn, who was your first love? Yoon-seo froze, caught completely off guard. Her reflection shimmered in the drink as panic crept in. How can I say you were my first love right to your face? She stammered. Before she could recover, Kwon-hoo downed his drink in one gulp. Time passed, and Yoon-seo, now drunk, mumbled with her head on the table. America! What did you do in America? Kwon-hoo looked at her quietly. You held out for a while. Like a true PD, she had suggested this drinking session to make up for unanswered interview questions, but now she was out cold. Leaning over her, he gently tucked her hair behind her ear. I lived under the name Richard Choi, he murmured. A friend named Kumar helped me back then, he sighed. I worked endlessly, and after 8 years, I finally reached the major league. His eyes dimmed, but one day before my debut, it ended. Fist clenched, he added. Maybe that's why I couldn't abandon the Phoenix players, because I saw myself in them. He looked down at Yoon-seo's sleeping form. They had nowhere else to go. Just like I once didn't. Then silence. The next morning, the scene shifted to Rayon's home stadium, filled with the sounds of training. Players moved behind safety nets. Kwon-hoo, now wearing a Phoenix jacket, stood at the edge, calm and composed. Yoon-seo had dressed casually gone with her usual PD uniform. As she watched the field, her thoughts wandered. If no one finds out, we drank all night. Not that anyone would care. Beside her, a colleague pointed excitedly. One shot of Choi throwing a ball would be perfect. Don't you agree, PDO? But she refused immediately. We're not filming CEO Choi playing baseball. Why not? He's got the body of a pro athlete, her colleague pushed. Because he asked to focus on the players, she said with finality. Still, as her gaze lingered, a quiet thought surfaced. I want to see him throw a baseball again. But she knew whatever made him walk away, he wasn't ready to come back. Later, as the final interview wrapped, Kwon-hoo stood beside her in front of reporters. The atmosphere was warm, the sky painted in hues of sunset. The reporter asked, any words for aspiring players? He thought a moment. People always tell you to dream, he began. Yoon-seo listened closely. But even when dreams break, reality still grows from their cracks. So don't give up until the very end. Yoon-seo's eyes widened at that one-word dream. She was suddenly 15 years younger, staring at the hopeful boy who once dreamed of greatness. Hearing him say it now, different. More real. As the interview ended, the crew cheered. Someone shouted, PD. CEO Choi is treating us to a meal. I need to finish the edit tonight, Yoon-seo said, turning to leave but stopped when she saw him laughing with the team. A thought struck her. If this airs, Tak-hung might see it as betrayal. She approached. CEO Choi, can we talk? He smiled. Sure. His manager interrupted. Talk at the restaurant, Yoon-seo sighed. Hurry up and just come. Outside in the dim parking lot, she took a breath. I need to ask. What will you say to your family about the interview? He was caught off guard. Why do you care? Because they might get mad at you. She laughed nervously. They wouldn't hit a grown son, right? I'll explain it myself, he said calmly. You take the hit for me? She asked. Stunned. He smiled. Your world still seems warm. Her cheeks flushed. Don't tease me. I'm not, he said gently. But if you're really... I'll go with you. Why? She asked. His smile deepened. You wouldn't meet me for no reason. So I have to keep making them. She blushed. Then if you run out of reasons? He didn't answer right away. Just smiled. And with that signature grin, he declared, by then you'll be the one clinging to me. At ZBS headquarters, the day doesn't start with a warm coffee or easy smiles. It starts with pressure. Heavy, cold pressure. A superior's voice cuts through the room like a blade. PD? How many years have you worked here? And you still don't get it? PDO stands still, her shoulders tight, as if bracing for a storm. He slams the remote. There's no mention of Takan. How are people supposed to care? She tries to explain carefully. CEO Choi didn't want any family details included. But he snaps, you have to say he's Takan's second son. That's the hook. The words land harder than intended. And watching a last place team practice isn't exactly riveting. You were there, why not show him playing? PDO lowers her head. Yes, sorry. Her passion, once so fierce, now flickers like a dying ember. But when he's gone, her eyes sharpen. No revisions? Then I'll air it just like this. Her fingers return to the keyboard, landing on one frozen frame. Choi Kwan-hoo, smiling warmly. She whispers, Choi Kwan-hoo. Not as a producer, but as someone who refuses to let the story end here. Her mind drifts back to a smug grin. You'll cling to me someday, he had said. Never, she snapped. His answer? Just a confident smirk. Even now it still annoys her. But despite everything, she never wished him harm. Not once. At her desk, she exhales deeply. Reporting. The incident could destroy everything she built. But staying silent would destroy him. She glances at the ring still on her finger. He's still wearing his 2. A soft breath. Right. She murmurs. Her mind is made up. It's time to return at night falls over the city, and in a quiet office, another meeting begins. CEO Choi, a voice says carefully. Across the table sits the Phoenix team's general manager. We won't be able to sign Cha Seung-jae. Silence. The news hits hard. Across Korea, fans buzz with excitement over the star players. Return. Every team is watching. Every owner calculating Jungwoo wants him badly. I want to bring him to Phoenix no matter what. But the reality is brutal. His salary is higher than our entire roster combined. Hashim Unions is offering 15.5 billion won over 4 years. Secretary Beek reports. Jungwoo scoffs. Of course, my father-in-law. Signing him is financially impossible unless Jungwoo sells his shares in Taikang. But no one's willing to buy them. Not with his father, Chairman Choi, in the background. Everyone's afraid of crossing him. Even for me. He leans back, frustration mounting until something shifts in his expression. Find out my father's schedule, he says calmly. His assistant blinks. Why? Jungwoo smirks. Time to show some filial piety. Meanwhile, back at ZBS. Another storm brews. The team gathers for a new planning meeting. The next episode will feature CEO Ella Iranyu, the producer says. Yoon-seo freezes. My father-in-law? She forces a smile. Shouldn't I choose the guest? I'm the lead PD. Their reply is cold. First 3 months you follow my lead. That's probation. She clenches her fists. This isn't about rules, it's personal. PD Young watches her with smug satisfaction. Having trouble, rich girls? He taunts. She doesn't flinch. She won't give him the satisfaction. If I can't reject his choice, she thinks, then I'll find someone better. Any suggestions? She asks the team. Names are thrown out. An author, a CEO, a devoted nun. Yang scoffs at all of them. None of them match CEO Iranyu's charisma, he says with a smirk. Just then, someone hesitantly raises a hand. What about Jane Lee, the Hollywood actress? The room falls silent. She's in Korea for her movie premiere. The girl, Ads? Would she even consider us? Someone whispers. Unlikely. Nearly impossible. But from the corner, Jungwoo's voice cuts through. I like it. Jane Lee. He turns to Yoonseo. Choose. Iranu or Jane Lee? Before she can answer, he pats her on the shoulder. At this rate, you'll be a star PD in no time. She stiffens, stunned. The meeting ends. Her team checks in on her. I am fine, she says, brushing off her shoulder. But in the garage, walking to her car, the mask falls. PD Young, you bastard. She knows what he's doing. He's pushing her toward Iranu. Because Jane Lee is impossible. Or is she? Just then her phone buzzes. A missed call. From Secretary Beek. Her heart skips. Why would he be calling? As she tries to shake the thought, the phone rings again. Hello, this is Secretary Beek from Roan. I saw your missed call, she replies. It's about the interview, he explains. Someone posted a picture of CEO Choi online, and it went viral. Her eyes widen. He's trending. We just wanted to confirm there's no conflict, he says. She scrolls to the post. Thousands of likes. He's really popular, she mutters, but her smile fades. It's good publicity, but his face being everywhere before the broadcast. That's risky. Meanwhile, across town, a phone call ends with 6 quiet words. The CEO is in the hospital. Yoonseo's breath catches. What? The hospital? Yoonseo burst into the hospital, her footsteps echoing with urgency. Spotting Secretary Beek in the hallway, she rushed over, breathless. PDO? He blinked in surprise. Why are you here? Still catching her breath, she fired back. Is CEO Choi really sick? What happened to him? Beek hesitated, confused. I'm just here for the chairman's health checkup. A beat of silence. So it's not Kwon-hoo, it's his father? He nodded. The CEO just came to show their relationship is fine. Realization hit her like a brick. She turned away quickly, flustered. I see. I'll go then. But Beek added with a smile. Shall I tell the CEO you came to see him? She spun around. What? No. He simply nodded. Understood. Still shaken, Yoonseo wandered the hallway, trying to calm down. I really jumped to conclusions. Then her phone buzzed. Choi Kwon-hoo is at the hospital. Her eyes widened. A cane. An illness. Was that why he returned from the US? But no. He wasn't sick. Relief gave way to embarrassment. I feel ridiculous. Then you should learn from your brother. She froze. Her father. Of all people, why here? Why now? He didn't hold back. Still wasting money on that baseball nonsense? Yoonseo turned, trying to hide behind an information board. You're just here for more money, aren't you? Her fists clenched. The way he spoke behind closed doors was a far cry from the loving father he played in public. Elsewhere, Jungwoo stood in a crisp suit, quiet and contemplative. Honestly? You're just too cute. His father blinked in confusion. You were cute back then, and still are. Yoonseo stared, completely baffled. Hey, don't mock him while he's wearing a hospital gown. But Jungwoo kept walking, his eyes stealing a glance back at her with a knowing smile. Her heart skipped. He knew she'd come. He's teasing me, she realized, face burning. Did air get into your lungs or something? His father muttered. Days later, in the sleek Leon building, Jungwoo sat at his desk, admiring a headline. A 3 billion won donation to Taegang Hospital for pediatric cancer. His father stood proudly in the photo. Looks like we get along, right? He grinned. His colleague nodded. Some are already reaching out. Time to sell stock? But then another screen caught his eye. Wait, Human Inside aired already? The thumbnail showed him on the baseball field, the CEO who bought a baseball team just because he loved the game. 800,000 views, 0.1 OK likes. His face is public welfare. Read the top comment. He stared at the numbers, confused. Was this show always this popular? No, his colleague replied, and aired the same day as the hospital article. That night, back at the Taekang estate, the mood was tense. His father's voice roared. Of all shows, why that one? Jungwoo walked in, calm. I knew I'd get summoned eventually. His mother covered her face. His older brother stood silently. The patriarch unleashed his fury. Get out of the country. Don't come back until your brother's divorce is finalized. Jungwoo remained composed. I can't shut down my business just like that, and I'll shut it down for you, his brother intervened. Father, calm down. Jungwoo added quietly, I'll talk to Kwan-Hu and fix this. But as he turned to leave, his father shouted, If you walk out now, I'll erase you from the family registry. Jungwoo didn't react. He heard that line too many times, outside. He stood by his car until his brother approached. If you told me in advance, this wouldn't have happened. Jungwoo didn't look back. You'd have stopped the broadcast. Was this about the team or her? He turned. Both, his brother recoiled. Leave her out of this. Jungwoo smiled faintly. You already knew, just like father. A perfect heir. He drove off into the night. Elsewhere, Yunseo stared at her phone. 1 million views, 150,000 likes. Her heart raced. I can't believe it went this viral. In the office, her team celebrated. Move up the next air date? She sat quietly, still, processing it all. Back at home, lounging on the couch, she whispered, I'm actually thankful to P.D. Young. Suddenly, her phone rang. Choi Kwan who. Why now? She picked up, happy about going viral. She teased, but his tone caught her. Off guard, YouTube. He replied distantly. What's with his voice? He didn't joke. I just feel down, he admitted. She sat up, stunned. What happened? Trying to lighten the mood, she said. Didn't know in-laws could feel this way. But his voice remained serious. If I met you before the wedding. If you called me even once back then. A pause. Would I have turned out different? Yunseo froze. The silence between them said more than words ever could. Yunseo stared at her phone, heart pounding. Is he drunk? Acting like this, in-law. On the other end, Jungwoo sat alone in a dim room, beer in hand, surrounded by newspapers. You're way too late, he muttered without looking up. A bitter silence followed. Then Unseo's voice cracked through it. You're right. Too late. All right. Sleep well, he said, ending the call. Yunseo dropped back onto her bed, phone still in hand. Even when she left him speechless, it didn't feel like a victory. Is sadness contagious? She whispered into the empty room. The next morning brought clear skies, but no clarity. Her viral interview had reached the last people she wanted. Her parents. They told me to come home immediately. Young boy stood frozen in front of the gate, clutching a school newsletter. Behind him, a man urged him forward, but he didn't move. Then a voice called out, You're Sihu, right? Hello, in-law. In-law? She echoed, puzzled. I came to see my sister-in-law. Then go inside and meet her. Why are you standing outside? She asked. He hesitated. I couldn't bring myself to press the bell. Yunseo gently smiled. Oh dear. She knew his sister had practically raised him in place of their absent parents. But now divorce had built a quiet wall between them. Yunseo reached out and pressed the doorbell herself. Soo Young, her younger sister, opened the door in surprise. Taekang's youngest came to see you, she whispered into the intercom. Silence, then a cold reply. Tell him to leave. Soo Young flinched. But he came all the way here. Her sister's voice came again firm. This is for Sihu's future. With slumped shoulders, Soo Young turned back to him. Thank you for coming, she said gently. But as she began to leave, he called out, Wait. She turned. Can you give her this? He asked, holding out the folded paper with trembling hands. Later, Yunseo stepped outside, reading the note. An open class? She murmured. Her sister appeared. Did you at least talk to him properly? He's in 5th grade, she added dismissively. He asked me to give you this, Yunseo said, holding up the newsletter. Throw it away. What? Sis, wait. Yunseo chased after her, but was suddenly frozen by a sharp voice behind her. Yunseo, you. Their mother stood in her pajamas, eyes blazing. What are you doing at the broadcasting station? Cue the next lecture about marriage. That evening, under the streetlight, Yunseo sighed. In the end, it's always the same lecture. She turned to go home until something in her pocket stopped her. Siwoo's newsletter. Her sister had told her to throw it away. But she couldn't. Someone has to go to the open class, she murmured. But how do I deliver it? Suddenly it clicked. Ah, I'll ask that guy. Cut to a quiet cafe. Yunseo sat across from him, posture firm. In-law, she said. He leaned forward, smiling. Why'd you ask to meet? To give you Taikang's youngest newsletter? That's it. He blinked. Dropping into his seat, he sighed. Seriously? Why give it to me? She asked. I was gonna give it to my sister. You take it. An open class? She read aloud. Pass it to the in-laws, he said casually. They won't go anyway, Yunseo replied. What? He asked. They leave everything to secretaries, she added flatly. Then why did Sihu come looking for his sister-in-law? He shrugged. My brother and I turned out fine. Yunseo didn't look convinced. That makes me even more worried. He leaned in. Then you go, in-law. What? Why me? She stared at him. You're his brother? Sihu has more than just me as a brother. But still, he smirked. Your brother's busy with his divorce. Huh, I doubt it, he teased. Can't you just say you'll go? She snapped out. He went quiet. Then, with a nostalgic tone, our parents never showed affection. They were raising heirs, not children. He looked at her, his voice softer. But you, oh Yunseo, you're still kind. Then, standing suddenly, he announced, All right, let's go. Yunseo blinked. What? Just like that, he grinned. But you're coming too. In front of G department store, Yunseo stepped onto the plaza, scanning the polished glass exterior. She wandered into the women's section, flipping through jackets with a distracted frown. An open class. What do people even wear to that? She wondered, biting her lip dot before her thoughts spiraled further. A calm voice cut in. All right, let's go. She turned and there he was. Jungwoo, casually confident, already standing beside her. But you're coming too, he added with a smirk. Yunseo blinked. He's doing it again. Finding excuses to hang out. Back at the racks, Yunseo eyed price tags with horror. Since I'm going as a guardian, I should dress properly. But these prices, why is everything so expensive? Still grumbling, she followed Jungwoo into Louis Charles, a high-end boutique. As they passed the luxurious display, Yunseo paused. Well, I'm here. Should I get Choi Kwan-hoo a gift? He helped with the interview. She browsed through ties until one caught her eye subtle elegant. Please wrap this one, she told the clerk. Just then, she heard the unmistakable sound of heels. Aren't you Yunseo? A voice called out. Her heart sank. Wang Ji-hyen. Of all people, the girl who'd shattered her life from middle school to college stood there, arms crossed, lips curled in amusement. Are you ignoring me? Before Yunseo could respond, the clerk returned. Customer, your package is ready. Ji-hyen's eyes locked onto the bag. Wait, is that for Kwan-hoo? Yunseo kept her cool. Not your business. But Ji-hyen pushed harder. Did you include Kwan-hoo's interview in the divorce settlement between Taekong and Haoshin? Yunseo froze. Her grip on the bag tightened. Ji-hyen knew exactly where. To dig. There's no way he would have agreed to that interview otherwise. Not while his brother's divorcing your sister. Her words struck like daggers. Don't respond. If you answer, you lose, Yunseo reminded herself. Trying to walk away, Jihan blocked her path. Feeling guilty and running away? Still, Yunseo didn't stop. Head held high. Fuming, Jihan turned to a store clerk. I'll take the same tie that woman just bought. Scene shift. The elementary school gate. Yunseo stood among parents, her presence awkward. I look like a fake guardian, she muttered. Why is he taking so long? Then a tap on her shoulder. Were you waiting for me? Jungwoo teased. She jumped. Don't sneak up on people like that. Then her eyes narrowed at his. Outfit? Why are you dressed like that? She grumbled. You look so boring. Jungwoo only chuckled. Take off your jacket and put this on, she ordered, handing him a box. A gift? He asked, raising a brow. Just for the interview, she replied, avoiding eye contact. He held out the tie. Put it on me. What? Do it yourself. But he leaned in, voice teasing. If you don't, I'll be disappointed. Suddenly, her imagination bloomed roses, sparkles, the works. Flustered, she snapped out of it. In front of a school? Are you serious? I don't know how to tie it. You do it. Storming off, she left him scrambling. Wait, I'm cold. Inside the classroom, whispers spread as they entered. W-O-double. Who are they? One boy scowled. Another muttered. He looks like a celebrity. All eyes were on Yunseo and Jungwoo standing side by side, unintentionally stealing the spotlight. Later, outside class 5-2, a younger student frowned. Why did you come, second brother? That's what I want to know, Jungwoo replied. With a grin, the kid was unimpressed. If your parents can't come, the older brother should. But all I got from him was scolding. Jungwoo shot back. Yunseo cut in. So you're acting out just to spite him? That's childish. The boy turned to her, betrayed. He just called me childish, and you're siding with him. Frustrated, he walked back into class. Jungwoo smirked. Guess he's mad his sister-in-law didn't show up. Yunseo sighed. Just act like a proper brother for once. Jungwoo grinned. You really want me to? She folded her arms. Yes, please. All right, he said coolly. Wait here. Yunseo watched him walk off. Wait, why is he going into the classroom? The open class is over. Panic hit? No way. I have to stay for class. Then boom, the classroom doors flew open. Jungwoo stood proudly, holding the kid like a trophy. The hallway echoed with footsteps as Jungwoo calmly commanded, let's go back to the classroom. Yunseo followed, a little breathless, teasing, skipping school for a day won't kill you. Up ahead, Sihu flailed on his brother's back, whining, you're so mean, Hyung. A teacher gathered the children. It's time to plant pansies. Sihu's eyes lit up as he held a trowel, awe on his face. Jungwoo and Yunseo watched nearby, calm returning. Sihu murmured, we have a garden at home. A quiet memory returned. He'd built it with his sister-in-law, a safe space. A comfort thought to him, maybe that garden said more. Then a brother who suddenly returned from America. Yunseo studied Jungwoo in silence. Noticing her expression, Jungwoo leaned in with a mischievous grin. Bored? I know a place. Caught off guard, she blinked. What? I have to stay with Sihu, but Sihu waved them off. It's okay, I'll call when we're done. Still hesitant, Yunseo tried to decline, but Sihu mumbled, being with you two makes me shy. The words stunned them both. Suddenly, Jungwoo grabbed her hand. Let's go. She stumbled behind him, cheeks flushed. I can walk myself. Let go. But he only grinned. If I let go, you'll run away, she groaned. Can't you be serious for once? Still holding hands, they walked under a rose-covered arch bathed in golden sunlight. So, isn't this nice? He asked. Smug Dot, EU and CO fidgeted. It looks like a proposal spot. I dressed like a lady today. Show some manners, she muttered. Jungwoo smirked. That outfit doesn't suit you. Excuse me? You said it was classic. I liked you better before, he added. She froze. He liked me when I was chubby? Her lips curled into a small, surprised smile. The only person who'd say that is probably him. They strolled through the golden light as Unseo grew animated. This wasn't just a little weight loss. I even did boxing. Oh, really? He smirked. She raised her fist playfully. Don't mess with me. I might actually hit you. Hit me? He laughed until she lunged forward. Her fist stopped inches from his face. He recoiled. Whoa! In a flash, he clutched his chest. I almost got hit for real. Yunseo burst into laughter. Scaredy cat! Her sparkling eyes made him pause. He stared at her quietly. Huh? She blinked. Then Jungwoo smiled soft, genuine. Something had shifted between them. Yunseo's heart skipped. Why is he looking at me like that? Just then he blurted, Wow, the roses are blooming even in autumn. Trying to calm her flustered heart, she nodded. Let's go back to Sihu. As they walked hand in hand, whispers followed. They look like a couple, a girl muttered. But only the girl tried. Yunseo froze. Why am I the one being called shabby? Jungwoo, oblivious, admired a rose nearby Dot just as she turned to leave. Something unexpected happened. In the rose garden, he dropped to one knee, holding a single red rose. Gasps filled the air. When you smiled at me, I realized something, he said. I can't live without you, Yunseo. Accept it? Her mind screamed. Your family is divorcing. My sister, and now this? She turned around and ran. Two onlookers blinked. He got dumped. Back in the car, silence settled thick. Are you two still mad at me? He asked, laughing nervously. From the back, Sihu spoke flatly. I heard what you did. That's disappointing. Jungwoo fumbled. I was just trying to help her confidence, okay? Yunseo turned to Sihu. Next time, tell your mom if a guardian is needed. Jungwoo chuckled. Ignoring me, huh? Sihu shrugged. She'd just sent her secretary. Yunseo stayed quiet, but Jungwoo's thoughts drifted. No matter what I do, she never gives her heart to me. I'm the one who wants to be comforted, but I never speak about the past. So maybe I can't blame her. She glanced at him. Their silence said more than words between pity and being ignored. I don't know which is worse. Suddenly, Jungwoo's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Oh! They stopped in front of her apartment. Yunseo stepped out. Thanks for the ride. Wait, Jungwoo said. I have something to give you. He handed her the rose. Since I already picked it, might as well take it. She stared at it. You tried hard not to hurt Sihu today. Then softly, are you really going to? End the day by doing the thing he hates most? Her steps froze. Zatu, she whispered. Clutching her bag, she trembled. Why do you keep saying things like that to me? Behind her, he stood silently still holding the rose.